Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Scrap the Boys. And for March the challenge is to scrap boys and pets. So I've got two photos, they're very similar but they're not the same, of my eldest son and his dog. And I've dug out a lot of 49er market and I'm going to use that to scrap these photos. So a lot of this collection in front of me is Spectrum Sherbet. When it first came out, I was absolutely overwhelmed by how wonderful it was, and I did buy most of it. And at the time, I hadn't realised quite how many different bits and pieces they did to their collection. And what you can see me using there were called their Sherbet Remnants. These were a mix and match die cut set where the shapes of rectangles and squares look like the back of envelopes, and they got what looked like they could have torn edges, and I've picked out all the greens and neutrals out of that set. I've still got quite a few of those 24 left, and I'm going to use those for the basis actually of the layout. I've also used a die cut acetate film strip there. It's not long enough, so I add another piece on the end. It's in the same green tones. I've got of that pack in a few different colourways. I thought that would be good to add some acetate, because I am going to add some acetate leaves either side of the photograph, plus some of the laser cut pieces as well. 49er Market was the collection I first thought of when I thought about doing a layout with my son and his dog. I think maybe the natural colours, the dog is quite ginger, so I thought these would go really, really well. And you can see me building up lots of different layers. I'm not chopping into them. I've got quite a lot of stash still left in this collection and in various 49er Market collections actually. So I'm just going to layer them up and add a little bit of depth behind these photographs. So when a collection isn't the most recent, I have a tendency to mix them up by manufacturer. So even though I say a lot of this is Spectrum Sherbet, there may be some other bits and pieces that have crept in. I've definitely had the Gardenia collection, and I've also had Art Options of Vesta and a couple of others actually. So if you think, oh, that doesn't look like Spectrum Sherbet, it may not be. It's just that I'm now keeping it all together, but the majority definitely is Spectrum Sherbet. So I've obviously gone through it. That's not everything I've got in front of me there. Goodness, you wouldn't be able to see the 12 by 12. So I had picked out and popped into these trays, mainly greens on the right, a little bit of orangey browns. And I did pop out some pinks to start with, because I wasn't quite sure whether I was going to go green and pink or green and neutrals and with a touch of like the orangey brown. So I was just picking out bits, and a lot of laser cuts as well I've popped out of the packaging just in case I got to use them. So I'm just tweaking, seeing what extra bits and pieces I can add in. I think I find a couple of tags that I would like to use. I looked at some tickets and some stamps as well. So I'm just going to move a few things out of the way, and then I will look at what's left. I like to clear the decks just so that I can actually focus a little bit more. I really like the way the layout's already looking, particularly like the left-hand side more than the right, but I will try and resolve that as I go through. So Scrap the Boys is a monthly challenge. You can find it on Instagram and Facebook. You can add your layouts. There's a wonderful team giving lots of inspiration, but also we love to see what you make too. So do have a look online, have a look on Instagram and on the Facebook group as well to see what everybody's made with a boy and an animal. Some of them are pets, some of them are a little bit more exotic, so I would really recommend you check them out, using lots of different collections as well and different techniques. So lots and lots of inspiration there. And they will be picking a guest designer for the future. So do add your layouts. We really love to see them. So I think I'm the only one that does videos to go with them, but you will find all these layouts online. So as I've started to stick things together, I didn't stick it to the main background initially because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do any mixed media. But actually, I decided there was enough bits and pieces on the background paper as it was that I was going to use it just as it is. So later on, I will stick it all back down. Just adding a few leads either side. There's lots of leafy background behind them in the photographs, and I think some of these acetate leaves in the browns and creams and like golds work really well. So I'm going to just add those in as well, either side. So as I say, it's all still loose, but I will stick it down very shortly. I'm also starting to think about the title and the title placement, and on the left there you'll find a big ampersand that I've cut just using a metal die, and I've cut it in two colours, a lighter green and a darker green, and I'm going to overlap them because I want them to be in the centre of the layout, so I want them to be quite prominent and noticeable. I'm just adding in a little bit on the right there that says right now, and I'm looking at maybe filling a few gaps on the right hand side. As I mentioned, I'm not loving the right as much as the left, so I'm just seeing if there's any other tickets and bits and pieces I can add in there without disturbing everything else, because it's precariously held together with a few bits of double-sided tape ready for it all to be stuck down. So in the end I decide I'm going to name this after a TV show from years ago called One Man and His Dog. If you're from the UK and of a certain age, you will remember that show. I think it used to be on a weekend, and it would be sheepdogs doing various, well, sheepdog, I'll say tricks, but actually it's what they're trained to do. And it was, I'm not selling it, am I? It was a show about herding sheep. And you got to know the farmers and the dogs, and it was obviously they're superbly trained. Anyway, that's where the titles come from in my mind. I pulled out a load of alphas in browns and blacks and greens, and I decide on this one, which I'm getting out of the packet now. Now this is a pink paisley alpha. I've still got it in the packaging, which is not bad for me. It says Expressions Cardstock Alphabet Whimsies in pumpkin. That must be the colour. So you've got big letters at the top and little circular ones at the bottom, and I decide I'm going to use both to do this title. So I bring in a bit of wax paper because I hate to commit straight away, and I want to see if the title will fit. So I'm going to have one man on the left and his dog on the right of the ampersand. So I'm just going to lay that out on the wax paper before I stick it into position. Now I will stick it into position during this video, but in fact at the end of the video I do change it a little. I woke up the following morning and decided I wanted to make the letters more prominent, make the title more prominent essentially. So what I do is I take them off the photographs and I actually mount them on a bit of pattern paper from the range in a light green and cut round them. So you'll see that in the final photo, but it's not something that I actually did on video because I think I was probably still in my PJs when I made that decision the following morning. I do that a little bit as a scrapper, that I make something, if I'm not sure, I walk away, I make a brew, I cook the dinner, and I come back to it at a later date, usually within a 24-hour period. Luckily, I try and work in advance so that is useful. But so you will notice that little bit of a change. So I'm sticking down the ampersand, just adding a little bit of foam to that just to lift that off the photograph so it doesn't get lost. And I'm going to slip that title in either side, but as I say, I've changed it. This is my son's first dog. It's the first family dog we've ever had. I have to say, I love this dog to bits. I can't believe I'm a dog grandma. It's not something I ever imagined I would be. And he's absolutely found himself a way into our lives and our hearts. He looks quite serious in these photographs, but he can be an absolute idiot. And he's a Cocker Spaniel by breed. But so this is the grand pup, my only grand anything. And it was nice to be actually scrap with him. This is not the photos I was originally going to use when I saw this challenge, because I'd actually recently come back from a holiday in Lanzarote and I got a picture of my husband with a camel, which I did nearly scrapped, but actually I changed my mind. But I will be scrapping that layout, that photo sometime soon. So I'm just coming in with a couple of hearts now. Everything is stuck down to the base layer. These are definitely from the Gardenia range, I'm sure. Looking at the colours, they're quite bright on there. I'm just going to add a little heart or two, one to the photo and one to the tab that says right now. Look at all that dimension. It's definitely, I do like a slightly chunky layout, I'm afraid. So this is the final image, and you can see that title pops a little bit better when I've put it onto some cardstock. Thank you for watching. Have a good look at the close-ups. You'll find this layout will go up on Instagram and also on the Scrap the Boys Facebook group with all the rest of the inspiration we have to offer. So thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.